We're so glad to have everyone here with us tonight for this very special Lean Into Allyship event. For all of us on the call, we are so excited on the back end to have been prepping for this session and the conversation that we're about to get to be a part of. Tonight's event is Black History in the Making, an inside view of the Center for Black Excellence in Culture. And we are just so thrilled and honored for tonight's conversation and to welcome back Lean Into Allyship favorite, Reverend Lilada Gee, to be joining us. So glad to have both her and Dr. Gee with us for tonight's conversation. You are about to be treated to an exclusive look at Dr. Gee's bold initiative in Madison through the Center for Black Excellence in Culture. And between Dr. Gee and Reverend Lilada Gee, they will discuss how they're working to ensure that the center brings together a collective Black brilliance that affirms, inspires, and advances the Black community in Madison and beyond. So buckle up, settle in, get yourself a glass of whatever it is that you earned today, and we are about to get started. So as always, we want to reserve as much time as possible for Dr. Gee and Reverend Lilada. So just to cover quickly a few housekeeping notes. First and foremost, as you've heard us advocate in the past, if this is not your first session, we do ask that you strongly consider donating to Nehemiah, Defending Black Girlhood, any of the other initiatives that you are called to or learn about tonight, as we cannot and do not expect these individuals and these organizations to support these events and educate us for free. So that's something that we always make sure to kick off on and make sure that you just kind of keep central as you are learning and experiencing tonight's content. If you are new to the Lean Into Allyship series, we just want to reassure you to please not worry about capturing everything that's unpacked tonight. We will send out a follow-up email after every event that includes a link to both this session and our previous sessions that are hosted on Justified Anger's YouTube page, as well as the additional learning and volunteer opportunities that we cover tonight. So we really just encourage you to minimize your distractions as much as you can and really just dive in with us. We do keep the chat function turned off during these sessions so that the Nehemiah team behind the scenes can share all of the valuable resources that they always do throughout the event. But please do use the Q&A tonight at the bottom of the screen to let us know kind of where you're at and questions that you have as we go along. This hour really is for all of us, and our intention behind Lean Into Allyship is to empower would-be allies to, create an honest and action-driven space to grow together. And we hope that you feel called to be involved in the conversation. And as would-be allies and co-conspirators, we are not attendees, but we are participants in these sessions. And your questions do definitely guide the conversation later in the session. So please keep us, updated on your thoughts and inquiries as we go along. Before we do pass things over to Dr. Gee, we always like to take a moment just to introduce him for those that are new to the group and express our gratitude, of course, for his commitment to this initiative of Lean Into Allyship and those of us on the call tonight. So for over 30 years, Reverend Dr. Alex Gee has sought meaningful Black solutions for his native city of Madison. He has extensive experience in the space of serving as an advisor to leaders across the world, and his efforts have included educating, coaching, and mobilizing white allies, which is exactly what we are here, participating in this evening. He is the president, founder, and visionary for the nonprofit Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development, and their vision is to engage the greater Madison community to empower African-American individuals, families, and communities to bring about hope, transformation, and justice. Nehemiah's work focuses on 5 core areas, including education, economic development, incarceration, family and community wellness, and capacity development. So we are just so grateful for this partnership and investment that Dr. Gee makes in all of us each month, and all of the other work that he does. I will welcome you, Dr. Gee, now and pass it over to you to bring in Reverend Lilada and dive into tonight's conversation. Thank you so much.
Well, yes, Samantha, thank you so much. So Samantha, did you introduce Lilada before introducing me? It used to be that people would ask Lilada, are you Alex's sister now? Are you Lilada's brother? So wow, Samantha, I'm gonna remember that one.
Yeah, we kind of
No, I love it. She is the girl. I'm so glad to be here. And oh my gosh. I look forward to leaning into allyship. Samantha, Daniel, Sarah, who's representing Generator, my team member, Siobhan, Don. I'm so grateful that you all helped to pull this off. We've been doing this for well over a year, and it's so great to be here to talk with you all. I'm here with my colleague and also my sister, Reverend Lilada Gee. I often receive so many accolades about the things that I've done, but Lilada is one of the co-founders of the Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development. She was there in the planning phases, one of the early employees. We stole her away from Dane County Social Services, where she was only one of three Black social workers for the entire county. And she came to work for us to oversee programs. She is an international traveler and speaker and lecturer. She's lobbied for the rights of folks who have suffered incest and sexual abuse and sexual assault. She is the president, the founder of Defending Black Girlhood, and she has a podcast under that same name, which is listed in the chat room. She is probably the second longest serving clergy person in this community behind me. And just does tremendous things, has been serving young girls, young ladies in our community for over 30 years. I don't think that anyone else could boast of doing that. She's now serving the children of the girls she served. And so tonight we're going to talk about this great idea that we have, Black history in the making. And so please help me welcome Reverend Lilada Gee. Lilada, how are you doing?
Thank you. What a wonderful welcome and introduction. Thank you.
So Lilada, it's tremendous. And Lilada is a muse for me and so many other people. I've been speaking around the world, and I'll call her and say, hey, I'm trying to find this closure. I'm trying to land this plane. I'm trying to bring this point. Do I start with this and end with that? And so we get a chance to talk and help each other a whole lot. So Lilada, tonight, we have about the next 20 minutes to talk about this great idea, this great vision about the Center for Black Excellence. I'm going to pull up the slide deck in just a moment, but Lilada, I always get asked to talk about what it means to me, but as a lifelong Madisonian, what does this feel like to know that we're part of making history and doing something that's going to change the cultural landscape of Madison forever?
I'm super excited, just as a lifelong Madison resident, but also as a Black woman, and Black women and Black girls are the most marginalized in American society. And the thought of being able to be a part of a project that really lifts us up and gives us a safe place to create and celebrate, I'm beyond excited.
Wow. Now, growing up, folks, my mother loved several things. She loved to eat good food. She loved exposing us to cultural things. And so when we were kids, Lilada, I'm sure you remember this, she'd pile us into the station wagon and we'd either go to Milwaukee to get barbecue from Speed Queen, or we'd go to Boxes in Rockford. We would take these trips, but we didn't think of them as really cultural outings. But what she really was interested in doing is getting out of Madison and having this sense of a Black experience, because she was raised on the West Side of Chicago. And so she modeled what was true for so many Black families. We had to actually travel, get in our cars and travel if we wanted to experience Black culture and see Black people working behind counters, cooking Black food, doing Black things. And I'm sure, do you remember that the way I do, that we get in our car an hour away and we'd see Black people in great numbers?
I can taste the Speed Queen barbecue sauce right now as you speak.
12th and walnut. We'd get the half and half ribs, half pork shoulder, extra sauce. And what kind of bread was it? Was it wheat bread that came with it, Lilada?
Oh, that Wonder bread.
That Wonder white bread that you could just sop it up and just absorb that barbecue sauce. We're going to walk through the slides in just a moment, but we want you all to hear the back story of this. We're losing Black people because they're coming to Madison, like our family did, because my mother wanted to attend the university, and they're coming for their short stint for education or maybe work, but they leave because there's not a sense of reinforcement. And so Lilada, so often people will say to me in a presentation, not so much now, because the word is getting out, we've gotten tremendous press coverage, of I love it that Don's dropped a link to Speed Queen.
I know, I
Yeah,
saw that.
tell them Alex and Lilada sent you. They better give me a discount.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, why do we need space for Black people? Madison makes space for everyone. Is that true, Lilada? Yeah, are you taking a sip? Oh, that's so nice that you're drinking water. Hydrate, sister. Yes, hydrate.
Yes. You know,
So why do
yeah,
Black
no, it's
people
not
need their
true.
own space? It's not true. Do white people have
It's,
space?
that's the thing. White people have whatever it is, but they don't call it white. And so they get away with the opportunity to have very segregated spaces without the racial shame about it. So that means, like, I love going to cultural events. I love going to the overture, to plays. I am often, unless I bring somebody Black with me, the only Black person in those spaces. And no one would say this is a white space, but it is a white space. You know, there's so many spaces that are designated with that title. They don't say white people only, but that's certainly the feeling that you get, even in Madison, and especially in Madison.
And in addition to the feeling that one may get, the design, the culture, the artwork, the play, the setting, the playwright, the costume designers, the musicians. Like I'm on the board of Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, and they're doing a lot of good. They're doing a lot of good. They're doing sorry about that. They're doing a lot of good work. They're doing a lot of great work. But even if sometimes if we do Black numbers, it's an all-white orchestra. Now we're working. They're bringing in Black composers. They've got, but so I don't think people really understand that for us, Black space is not just that we just want 3 or 4 Black people that's there, but how is Blackness thought about this, and how is Blackness portrayed, and what does the music feel like, and what's the scenery and the time and the tempo. So we want people to understand that if you go to Art Fair in the Square, if you go to downtown Rotary, if you go to places, it's the importance of art is that it reflects your transcendence. The reason why there's so many art centers downtown in major cities is that you go and look at paintings on a wall, you watch film, and it tells your story, whether it was your story or not, story of overcoming, of transcendence. We've been here before, we can do better, we're bouncing back. But when it doesn't reflect our story, when we are the servants, the drivers, the maids, the mammies, or even if we're a main character, but we're forlorn and we're inner city and we're trying to find our children, and I don't have a daddy, and I'm just trying to get over the man. It's not designed and shaped to reinforce our story. The history and the influence of the Black diaspora has not only shaped the Caribbean and America, the Americas, it's shaped humanity, math and arithmetic and science. And so for us, having a space that says you belong here is very important. And not just that you belong here, but it promotes the beauty and the necessity of culture, which is the essence of how things work for you in your portion of society. So for us, this is not about an art gallery. It's not what we look at, but it's seeing ourselves reflected in a way that helps us to look at the world differently, like we're part of it. This is the analogy I make. Lilada has 2 children, my niece and my nephew. She has a son and daughter. If I went to her home and only saw pictures of her son, Chris, and not of her daughter, Allie, I would think, are you and Allie beefing? Like, why are there only pictures of your son? She's your firstborn. Are they being reframed? Like, what's going on? There's not a single picture of Alexandra in this house. We would think something's wrong. And this is what it's really like in Madison. It's like the artwork does not reflect the full family, and we don't see ourselves or art magneted to the refrigerator or framed. And so we want to make sure that our story is told as well, because Black influencers like Lilada and myself aren't Black social workers and Black pastors. We're pastors and social workers and entrepreneurs who happen to be Black. We work to make Madison well. We work to make Madison strong. Our mother has contributed to Madison. We've contributed to Madison. And so this must feel like home to us too. We deserve that. Anything else you want to add later before I walk people through the slide deck? I just want them to hear us talk about why this space is important. And businesses can't attract Black people. My colleague who used to work for the university said he would have good offers on the table. Black people would say they've talked to their colleagues who have said the atmosphere, and they don't mean meteorologically.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about culturally. The atmosphere is such that you should not take that job because it would not be good. And now we know that being isolated becomes a social determinant of health. So anything you want to add before I walk through the slides later?
I do, just right quick. I was over 50 before I really claimed myself as an artist. And I think about all the years that you and I as kids went to the art fair on the square. We never saw Black artists there or Black art displayed, back then with the Civic Center, and so then the lack of seeing yourself reflected as a young person really limits who you think you can be and what you think you can do. And so that means not only are adult Black people having a difficult time, our Black children are having a difficult time because they are not seeing themselves reflected, and they're not seeing not just themselves today, they're not seeing their future possibilities reflected.
Yes.
And that is a shame, and that's a problem.
Right, that wounds you spiritually, and those are the things that are compounded to shorten our lifespan in this community. So folks who are on this call, it's not just about we want to see some Black art, we want to see some Black photography. We want to see that our lives matter. We want to see ourselves reflected on the walls of a community we've made home and that we have built to be safe and fair and inclusive. And so the center is about doing that. And I just keep saying, when Black people have a place to be ourselves fully and to be our best selves, we can give our best selves. And so let me just pull the slide up. Lilada, you can say something else while I'm just getting my slides ready.
Well, I just love it. And there we are.
There we are. So we've listened. Lilada, if we go back to the Justified Anger movement, which I was able to spearhead, but as we started working on our Madison plan that you helped with, we listened to hundreds of Black people. By being in nonprofit leadership for 30 years, I've listened to Black people. As a former recruiter of UW-Madison, I would have parents ask me, will my children be safe here? Students would ask, where are the barbershops? Are there places to go to a Black coffee shop? Or other Black, jazz shops or jazz places? And so we've listened to hundreds, probably 600-700 Black voices and Black folks who have spoken into this process when asked, what is it that you want? What would help the city feel like a cultural home? Because Madison's often spoken of as one of the best places to live, but you'll never see it ranked that way for Black people, not by Black people and not by Black people who live here. So this is the center that's this is the drawing of this. Our architect is African-American. He's incorporated what's called, Lilada, we love saying this, the Black aesthetic, the colors, the shapes, the material, so that the very glassing, the very bronze-looking angular structures that are coming out of both sides of it, they speak of an African dynamic and African art style. So this isn't sterile space that we've crammed Blackness into. The very paints and colors speak Blackness. Oftentimes, Lilada, anytime you want to just comment, just jump in.
All right.
Programming that's made on our behalf is usually helping us to strive. Do you need a bus pass? We'd like to get more Black people to come to these events. Do you need a ride? Do you need an Uber? Do you need a sandwich? Do you need a voucher? We hardly ever talk about Black people thriving. Our mother didn't bring us to Madison to strive. She brought us here to thrive.
That's right.
And we want our kids to call Madison home. Madison's losing Black talent at an alarming rate. Lilada, your son just has gone back and forth between here and Seattle because of his friends and the culture, because he's grown up always being one or two Black kids, often the only Black boy in a class. And it's affecting workplace diversity, because the competition of businesses is not the business down the street, it's civic and cultural life after 5 o'clock when Black people go home.
And can I just throw out, Alex, as much as I love having my son in the same city with me, when he is gone, there is a part of me that breathes a sigh of relief, because this city, this county, this state, you know, he has a 50-50 chance of being incarcerated just because he's a Black male.
I hear you. This is led by and for the Black community. It's not what some other groups have come and said, this is what you need to do. We've been in meetings our whole professional careers where nothing in the room is Black but the coffee and the chalkboard, and they're making decisions for Black people because they feel they know what's best. The president of Lord Cultural Resources that's designed our business plan is Black, and we have Black history makers and Black physicians and Black artists speaking into this and shaping it. Some of the first dollars into this project came from the Black community. And so this is very historic. We can talk about programs that are going to be here all day, but what's really beautiful is that when you get space that's Black led and Black infused, and it reflects us, and is energized by us, these are the things that happen inside of us: mentoring and innovating and leading and celebrating and teaching and healing.
Yes.
Incubating and dreaming, so that when we get a chance to have our space, and it's really not any different. It's why people like belonging to the Elks Club or to whatever the other specialized clubs are, golf clubs or Rotary, because when you're gathering with people and you're sharing ideas and you're creating and you're leading, there's something about how we like to be drawn to our tribes. There's something about how we love being around similar folks that reinforces us. But if you do that in Madison and most of the spaces are white, to the latest point, no one calls it white space. It's just space. And so, but we know that when we have this space, we thrive because these are the things that grow and happen. Because we have to always beg for this space. No, we don't want to do that. We want to do this. No, can we not do that on that day? Or no, we don't want to do it that way. Or no, we don't want to do it we don't want that person. You know, the community wants to pick our leaders and pick our issues and tell us who we should follow it. And you know, do you know this person? And whenever someone asks me, do I know someone? I know automatically they're Black because they assume that we all know each other.
Mm-hmm.
What makes the center unique in this whole nation is that its focus is on leadership and innovation, history, culture, and gatherings, and performance and arts. Joy Bailey Bryant, who heads up the group, as I mentioned, that does our business plan, has said to me, Alex, there is no other structure in America that she's aware of. And they are on probably 3 or 4 continents. Lord Cultural Resources designs cultural space in Australia, in Europe, in Asia, in Canada, in the US. She said, there's nothing that's doing this for and by Black people. And so I love the fact that we're groundbreaking and we're trying to help Madison to be known for something more than just the negative things that it's known for. Last week, I co-lectured with Dr. David Rakel from UW School of Medicine. And he presented findings about salutogenics, the science of wellness. And he said that he's been studying what promotes, what promotes health. And he said, it's things like spiritual renewal that you get from watching plays or listening to lectures or talking about physical and health and nutritional health. And when you're talking about personal and professional development, when he saw the slides of our center, he said, I can show scientifically using medical science that this space will promote Black wellness.
Wow.
Because up to now, we've just been saying, you know, racism is a social determinant of health. That's just a nice way of saying, an easier way of saying Black people are going to die sooner. But later, who's leading in Alzheimer's? What demographic group?
Black women. The Black
heart trouble,
women,
cancer,
Black women,
hypertension, diabetes. And so, but many of these are stress-related ideas or diseases. I'm on the Black Leaders Brain Health Committee, and we have found that having diabetes and hypertension are leading causes and precursors to dementia. Well, who leads diabetes and hypertension? Black people, Black women. And these are things that can be controlled with diet and reducing stress. And so for me, culture is not about preserving art. It's about preserving our people.
So Alex, let me give you for instance. I went to a play at a cultural center in Madison. enjoyed the play, went with my daughter. We were the only two Black people, brown people in the whole place. We enjoyed the play. At the end, one of the chocolatiers, local chocolatiers, had donated chocolate. And so the volunteers were giving them out. And I said, excuse me, I didn't get a piece of chocolate. Didn't you already get some?
Mm.
And even if I had, give me another piece of chocolate. I had, you know what I'm saying? Give me that piece of that free chocolate that you don't have to pay for. But it's just, I left there. I was feeling good, having this great performance. And then I left there feeling othered because she wouldn't have asked anybody else if they had had a piece of chocolate, more than one.
Well, they wouldn't have stood out. They would have blended into the crowd. So she's like, I saw some chocolate in the chocolate hand. Are you sure? Like, no, ma'am, you were staring into your box and not me. You confusing me with the chocolate.
Give me a damn piece of chocolate. And they wonder why Black women are angry.
Because they want some chocolate. We're going to be grooming and developing leaders. That's a huge part of this. Working with youth education, leadership development, working with post-secondary educational partnerships, because students are leaving UW-Madison. Folks are leaving because they want to get off campus, which is, I just found a statistic last week. There in 2020, there were 643 Black students, but in 1970, there were 1,200. The Black population in 1970 was 22 million in America. It's 44 million today. The Black population has doubled in 50 years, but we've cut our Black enrollment at UW in half. Students want to be connected in their communities. So we're working uniquely with them. It's located in the heart of the South Side. It's going to be situated on 6 acres on Badger Road and Park Street, nestled against the West Beltline Highway. 65,000 square feet, 3 levels of spacing, where there will be theater and multi-purpose spaces for plays, concerts, dances, recitals, receptions. There's meeting space and celebration space. The main level shows room for youth and students, where we want to focus on STEAM and STEM education, preparing our kids for leadership in not just remediacy, but how to excel and develop them to think like leaders. Common lounge space, reading rooms, senior space, because we think that our children need to be able to go places and interact with adults. Lilada and I grew up in a family where our grandmother was a big part of our lives. She watched us when we were younger, or at least, she watched us while my mom worked. And so growing up in that multi-generational space was very important. Lilada, your children grew up around our mom. Lexi grew up around my mom and Jackie's mom. That interaction is very helpful to have an older generation pass information down to a younger generation. We're going to have cross-cultural space. And then the third level is meeting space, private club that I'm calling Club Afrique, and then also leadership and innovation space, so we can help people enhance their wealth, generate their ideas, turn them into money, enhance the gig economy, resource them through our social networks. So we bring in the attorneys and the accountants and the social media experts, and have people who've been having great ideas rolling around in their heads and turn it into a bona fide side gig that gives them enough disposable income to buy a home or send their kids to college. This is the wow. I need a wow factor. I need a wow. Let me just, there you go. There you go. Look at these drawings and these renderings. Our interior architect is Black. Our landscape architect is going to be Black. Furniture makers, we're working with Black companies, or looking into Black companies. We are really wanting to even employ and help Black-owned businesses. As we've looked for architects, there are so few Black-owned architectural firms that have built something of this magnitude. This is going to become a national model, but we are helping to put them on the map when they're able to add this project to their resume. The top left is our lobby. The top right is inside the private club. The furniture that's designed there is actually from a catalog of a Black furniture maker. We can have weddings, receptions, gatherings there. When dignitaries come to town, we can receive them and have them give lectures and reflections to the Black community. Right underneath that is the outside portion of that private club area. And that's outside and it faces the southwest looking over the Beltline. And then the bottom left is the multi-purpose theater space. It seats 250 people. The seats retract so that it can go completely away, flat floor for a dance, for banquets. The windows can be covered so that we can drop a screen out the sky and show films. We can have film festivals, lectures, comedians, storytellers, courses, trainings. And because 91% of our participants have said we need meeting and gathering spaces, we wanted to create something that is state of the art, something that is opulent and exquisite, that still exudes the Black aesthetic, and it's a place where we can gather and celebrate, and we don't have to ask anyone for permission.
Yes.
We've got a business plan that talks about what it takes to run this, annual operating budget of $2 million, and a plan to not only raise the money for that and to have fees for services, but also we have a plan for 4 years reserves for resources as we grow this in initial and formative years. Very eclectic capital campaign team, including people who helped to build the Overture and the Monona Terrace. We have Peter Fagan, who's the president of the Milwaukee Bucks. We have people who've come out of retirement, a former county executive, the president and CEO of CUNA, CEO of Fendorf Construction, the chief, the executive vice president of CUNA. It's just, the former secretary of workforce and development. Is just so exciting. The Black leadership in the community has influenced this. And so when people ask, well, which leaders are you talking about? You know, I say, we've interviewed hundreds. Who do you want? Who are you talking about in particular? Because they're so used to things being led by just one Black person and it's their vision. Over 50 Black community members came and stood in their support at our press conference. We're going to be having another press conference in a few days, so you want to stay tuned to find out what that's about. Don's going to drop a link so that you can actually join our mailing list to follow what's happening in the center. But we're going to be having another press conference, a press release, and you're going to want to see that. And over 300 Black donors and their honorees kicked off our fundraising campaign. Lilada was one of the 4 Black women who shaped that. We have raised, now this has changed a little bit, it's closer to $12 million. So we're about a third of the way to our goal, and we're going to get the rest of the way there. We're going to be announcing some other gifts that have just come in from a family today. And so it's so exciting. Yes, this is our moment. We're asking people to join with the Black community, and together we can make history. When we own space, we're able to invite people to be our guests. So there will be plays and presentations and things that the broader community can come to benefit from our history. There's plans for school districts to bring students in to learn about the influence of Black historians on the state of Wisconsin. Imagine what happens when not just only Black children, but your children are able to go to a place to learn about the positive contributions of Black people. Imagine what that's going to mean to future generations when people grow up to be respectful and appreciative of the contributions of Black people and not made afraid because of comments they hear or stories they see in the media. We're about making history. We're about making change. We know that the Black community deserves to have a long life. And what I always say is being Black and Madisonian should not be a death sentence. Being Black and successful in Madison should not be a death sentence. But according to medical sciences, it is. And so we are about to change the game and put Madison on the map for something other than its mistreatment of Black people. We're taking the bull by the horns. And this is more than just having a seat at the table. People have asked, you know, Alex, what would you like? Would you like a seat at the table? I said, a seat at the table? No. I want to own the damn forest where the trees are made. And I want to hire the lumberjacks to come and cut that stuff down. And then the wood makers to turn them into tables. And then I want to hire the building managers to determine where the tables should go. And then I want to come in and set the agenda. No, I don't want to sit at a table. I want to make the forest where the tables are made. That's the kind of Black person I am. That's the kind of social innovator that I am. And that's the kind of center that this is going to be. Anything else later you want to say before Samantha comes back
Lumberjack, you got it covered.
Come on, Lumberjack. So with that, Samantha, come on, sister, take us home. What do we have to do next?
I just want to give that same collective woo. Like, if you are not covered in goosebumps, if you are not feeling so emotional about this conversation, you are not listening. Rewatch it, take it all in again. This is so exciting. Thank you for sharing all of this. We are
my pleasure.
Beyond honored to get this inside view and just really to celebrate and support and embrace the excellence and culture along the way. And so is everyone that's here with us tonight. So we have gotten so many questions. We're going to try and dive right in. We received a few questions regarding how, and I'm sure that you anticipated this question was coming, but how can white allies support, celebrate, and appreciate Black culture without taking up space that should be saved for Black people, without it feeling appropriative or even performative? Specifically, questions came in, of course, when it comes to the center. What do you envision, and what is and can be and should be the role for white allies in supporting this work and this initiative?
Sure. Can I take that one?
Take it.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I answered for you, Dr. Gee.
How about I start it?
Yes.
I think it's really important, because I saw the one question that said, what can white allies do besides donate? And I think when you hear what Alex has said about how this center has scientifically been proven that it will help to elongate and enrich the lives of Black Madisonians, I'm going to ask white allies to pause and really hear that. Okay? And then what more could you possibly do than to financially contribute to make this a reality? Sit with that. What more could you do than to help to make this a reality, to elongate and enrich the lives of your fellow Black Madisonians and beyond? If that's not enough, then I think we need to go back to the drawing board to understand what it means to be an ally. And I'll pause there.
I have nothing left to give. That is profound. To the latest point, if helping to save and elongate Black lives is not meaningful enough, give and then give again. And I used to say that and feel, well, I don't want people to feel used or bad. We're trying to help Black lives. We're not trying to have a Black party. We're trying to help Black lives. And when we're healthier, our interaction with the white community, our bringing our total selves will transform schools and where we work and where we live. But if we're at this point where lives are on the line, and the thought is, well, once you stop starving to death, or okay, once you stop drowning, what else do you need? Like, I can't see beyond the life preserver right now. I can't see beyond that spoon of porridge right now. So could you just please step to the side and give me that, so I can then think? I can't think about what's next. We lead the nation in the death of Black babies. The birth rate in the 90s of Black babies in Racine rivaled that of third world countries at war. Our seniors are dying. We're having to process, now that our mother has Alzheimer's, what role has stress as a Black woman giving birth to children in the 1960s? When I was born, March on Washington was only 73 days old. Like, we think about that as ancient history. It was only 2.5 months. It was going on while she was carrying me, the stress with the riots and what was happening to Black men. And so, to Lilada's point, and I'm glad that's recorded, and I'm gonna, Don, you're listening, Siobhan, Eli needs to take that piece and just edit it, because that was just profundity standing on its head, that if that's not enough, then let's just rethink. Let's just get us there. Let's just get us living longer, and then we'll talk about the next step. But saving Black lives can't also be about saving white lives, because white people are doing exceptionally well in Wisconsin.
My God.
So let us live. Let us live, and then we can help. But help, we need to live.
And if
thrive.
We're leaning towards being would-be allies and co-conspirators, then that means we're learning about true American history. And if we've learned about true American history, there is one thing that is true no matter what, is that the financial richness of this country was built on the backs of Black people. That is undeniable. Yes. The financial has reverberated beyond the United States into America and the Caribbean on the Blacks and the pain and the rapes of Black women. So that if we understand that as allies, then you must understand that part of what you get to do as an ally, and this is not to be a guilt trip, it is a historical fact. Then part of what you get to do as an ally through this project, through supporting other projects, is to right some of that wrong financially by contributing to projects like this.
And sharing it with your friends.
Share, as a matter of fact, not only do I encourage you as an ally to give, get your girlfriends together, get your family together, call up your family, get a family fund together, talk to your children, get their dollar from their allowance together, talk to your family. Maybe some of you have family foundations. Like, don't just give yourself. Create a community around your giving. And know that in doing that, you are changing the lives of not just us today, but our children and our children to come in this community.
Yes, that is excellent. Samantha, we're going to try to let you get through 6 questions. And so I'm going to make my
I don't know.
No, lady, that was profound. We needed that.
I don't know if there's anything else to say or cover. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Lilada. Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. And there was an aha moment that actually came in, I believe, from one of the people who asked that as well. So as you were talking, Lilada, early on, that sparked a lot of in-depth thought. So thank you for that. There was a question early on. So Lilada, you were specifically talking about going around the Capitol Square and not really, not seeing any Black artists. And someone had mentioned, or Alexandria actually had mentioned, as an aspiring artist and also an aspiring white ally, how can she appropriately include Black folks in their art? And is it appropriate to include them at all? And she says that she wants art to be reflective of her world, of her community, but also don't want to tell stories that aren't hers to tell. So wanted to just capture your perspective on that, because I think that's another in-depth discussion that can be very, very telling.
I have 2 responses to that. One time I went to gallery night. And again, with gallery night here in Madison, rarely, if ever, would I see Black art. One time I saw some Black art. It was very nice. It was of the jazz scene and jazz artists, but I knew that a Black artist hadn't created it. So I asked the curator, I said, who is the artist? Was it a Black artist? And sure enough, it was not a Black artist. So that's one answer. Understanding that fully giving a Black experience isn't just being able to paint Black people, but it's being able for Black people to express that. Now, the flip side of that is, Alexandra, if you're finding yourself in diverse spaces and you are reflecting your community, they hopefully are not all white people. So if you're looking out of your lens and you're looking at maybe if you have children, their classroom, or you're looking at Dane dances and you're looking at who's there from your perspective, if it's a diverse space that you're in and that you're seeing, that is fair to show that, because that's your experience, your community. And so that's fair. But I also just encourage You know, if you are an artist, are there ways additionally that you can help to support, encourage, mentor Black artists in expressing themselves? But if you live in a diverse world, it would be weird if you were painting something in New Orleans and it was all white people. We would all know you were lying. So I think artistic expression and our point of view needs to be the truth of what we see and what we experience. And so if that's what you see in your community and what you have experienced, I think that's fair.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. We do have a couple more questions. I think that we were able to kind of block in and cover the main themes. And I am thinking that we probably need to move over to Siobhan to cover some of our volunteer opportunities, because we have a really exciting overview for our Ally in Action this month that we want to make sure we do not run out of content time for.
Yes, thank you so much, Samantha. I really can't stress enough the sentiments that Lilada has presented. A huge part of, especially what Nehemiah does, is contingent on donations being made that help us fund and directly support our community. So if possible, please go to our website and create a community around your giving. The other options, obviously, we want you to educate yourself. Justified Anger and Nehemiah have so much education available at your disposal so that you can learn and be better acquainted with Black history and Black lives in our community. And both of those options are shown on our website: the Justified Anger podcast, Dr. Gee's podcast, which is going to be airing, new season airing soon, things like that. And then another thing that I want to remind everyone, in ways that we aren't able to monetarily give, sometimes it's important to give our special skills, things that we've been able to teach your own family. In the Black community, everyone is our family, so we pass on all of those skills. So sometimes passing on some of your special skills that are required for developing yourself. If you have any of those skills and have the time and would like to donate that time and those skills, reach out to volunteer@nehemiah.org. And I'll send it back to you, Samantha.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Siobhan. Okay, I'm gonna hop around just a little bit. We are gonna touch on our Ally in Action challenge in just a sec, but we are celebrating really, really big this month with our Ally in Action challenge focused around the new season of Black Like Me, which dropped today.
Hey, that's a great picture, Alex. Look at you. Look at how slick and
loving the new promo piece.
Rise to the occasion, Lord have mercy.
There he is. Okay, so season 7 dropped today with episode Mic Check, Rising to the Occasion. Yes, so we are hoping that you can tell us a little bit about this new season, today's first episode drop, and then we'll get into our challenge and calling around that.
Sure. Today we released the mic drop, which is what I always call episode 1. But Rising to the Occasion says, with all of what we've seen in the news about the treatment of Black people, there's an expectation that there would be a collective, automatic white awakening, and people say, aha, and systems will change. But what do we do in the meanwhile? We can't wait for everyone to have the aha, because they've got to still count up all of those costs. How do we rise to the occasion? When I look at history, it seems as if when we waited for the white community to catch up, we lost ground. When we said, no, we're going to do for ourselves and create our businesses and our universities and our sororities and our fraternities, we were able to thrive. And so I want to tell examples of people who are rising to the occasion, irrespective of what's happening around them, to them, or against them. They are finding reasons to thrive. And this season is about the great triumphant stories of people who are rising to the occasion of Black brilliance and excellence in America today.
Yes.
Amazing. Love that so much. A really, really exciting support around the drop today in season seven is that Black Like Me is up for a Best of Madison, Best Local Podcast recognition. So we are calling and encouraging and just really requesting that everyone goes on and takes some time to vote for Black Like Me. If you haven't yet subscribed and are following and are listening to this podcast, you are in for such a treat over the next over the next season 7 of episodes that you'll be hearing. There's also just so much rich content and just really incredible opportunities to learn and get involved throughout seasons 1 through 6 as well. So dig in.
Samantha,
yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. May I just say, they're trying to get nominees so that I can be on the ballot, so that there will be a vote later. And so when people do click on the link, you'll have to write Black Like Me in. So right now, it's not one of the finalists that you're voting on. So, and people will know that when they get there, you can actually write in Black Like Me. They're going to take the most suggested nominations and then list the nominations. So please do it. Thank you, Samantha.
Okay, that's even better. Love that. Yes. Okay, so we are making sure to write in Black Like Me once we get to that place. As Don just put in the chat, we can vote once a day, and voting is open until the 28th of this month. So we have, what is that, 6 more days to get our votes in. So if we can move into the Ally in Action slide, we have a whole bunch of call outs for this month. So our February challenge includes all things Black Like Me podcast. So the first and foremost, as we've covered, is to vote Black Like Me Best of Madison for Best Local Podcast. Again, until February 28th, you will write in the podcast when you get into the Best of Madison form. We also want to make sure that you are following on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. I'm not sure where else. I know I follow on Spotify. I'm not sure where else the podcast is, but wherever you can find the podcast, follow along.
We're there.
Get involved and stay involved. And then also, we really want to encourage everyone to make sure to listen to the season 7 kickoff. Again, the first episode dropped today. Dr. Gee just shared an overview of what that's all about, and make sure to, again, dig back and just kind of scroll through once you get to the page, and anything that looks of interest to you, spend some time over the next month just getting involved and getting to know the podcast. And then the final calling, just to consider being a supporter via Patreon. My family and I support the podcast each month through Patreon, and there are some really excellent different levels of involvement and support that include some very cool opportunities, even some swag. And I know that those are things that are being built out all the time. But check out Patreon, learn about ways you can support, and definitely please do that. Okay, so that is our Ally in Action Challenge. Just to have a quick touch base on what's coming next. Our next session will be Tuesday, March 22nd. The content on that, the topic, will be announced shortly, so stay tuned. We will share that as soon as we have it. And really just, in closing, during this final week of Black History Month, Dr. Gee and Reverend Lilada Gee, it has truly been such an honor to explore and celebrate the Black history and the Madison history in the making through the center, as this initiative works to ensure that the artwork of Madison reflects its true family. That was so powerful and really such a beautiful way to tell the story. So thank you for that. To all of the attendees, to the participants here with us, we thank you for taking the time tonight to commit to this event and making it the collaborative success that it is, and taking the step to activate on all of our responsibility to be the change as non-Black allies. As always, as we always say, allyship is a verb. It is not a destination, and it is not a title. From Dr. Terrence Green, who joined us last month and implored us that you start where you are, but you don't stay there. And this work starts with questions more than it starts with answers, and ask those questions. So lean into allyship is really a place where we can, bare our souls, get vulnerable, get our hands dirty. Dr. Green said that we enter as allies and we remain committed as co-laborers. So we are here to labor alongside our Black brothers and sisters in our community and one another. So that's what we're here to do. And we are really grateful that you've taken the time to do that with us tonight. And as Siobhan demonstrated just now, we know that the opportunities to educate, donate, and affiliate are so plentiful. So, get uncomfortable, dive in, use these resources, and truly most of all, what we hope you've taken the opportunity to do tonight is to follow Lilada's calling to just pause and really determine and dig deep on what that support and allyship and co-laboring looks like and means to you, and where it can go from there. So thank you everyone for your participation tonight. We can't wait to see you for March's session. Dr. Gee, Reverend Lilada, was there anything else you wanted to share? Any closing remarks?
Thank you
Just
for the
appreciate the
opportunity.
space. Thank you so much. Keep leaning in, people. It makes a difference. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Dan and I are so grateful for everyone that contributes to this event each month, to the Nehemiah and Justified Anger team. We are, forever honored to get to collaborate with you on this series, and to the generator who lends their technology and support from the very beginning, from day one of this event, to give us a platform home to grow within. We're really grateful for you as well. So thank you. And again, just watch for that follow-up email on tonight's event to come from Justified Anger with links back to this session and a whole bunch of content. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Reverend Lilada. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.